So good morning po. My name is Gabriel Sanchez. And ang partner ko po ay si Joey Martinez Jr. So, ito po yung problem statement natin. Yan. Basahin po muna natin bago po namin i-explain. So, write a 15-item quiz program that prompts the user to pick the letter of the correct answer. Each item will have 5 choices, which is A, B, C, D, and E, for the user to choose from. Whenever the user inputs the wrong answer, the program will display the wrong answer and ask the user whether to repeat the same question or skip and proceed to the next question. Note that the user has 3 lives, and it is lost whenever the user answers wrong. If no lives remain, the program should display game over and display the score, the name, and the user correct and wrong answer, wrong score, and how many attempts they try on each item. Then ask the user if he or she wants to repeat the quiz. And also create a try and catch structure to handle exceptions. So basically this yung program po namin, isa po siyang 15 item quiz. Una, i-enter nyo muna yung hingin muna yung name, and then ipa-prompt niya yung 15 item quiz. So isa-isa niya yon para with the help of loop, isa-isa niyang ilalabas yung mga question. Pero kapag mali yung sagot ng isang user, may pagpipilian siya dito. May lalabas na wrong answer. And then ask the user. For example, wrong answer. Try again, yes or no. If the user chooses yes, the program will loop and to repeat the question, and then reduce the lives of the user. Yan. So, if the user chooses no naman, so mag-aano na siya sa ibang question, sa another question, maglo-loop na siya sa another question. Yan. So, dito naman, yan, pero pag no lives na lang yung natira, i-display na siya ng game over, and i-display na yung mga lives na natira, kung ilan yung nasagutan mo, kung ano yung score mo. Yan. Tapos, pagkatapos nun, may sa baba, may i-question yung user kung nice pa niyang ulitin yung quiz. Pag yes, ulitin. Pag ayaw, edi mag-e-end na yung program. So, yung namin, yung code namin, may laman din siya mga try and catch structure to handle exceptions. Some of the exceptions are custom exceptions. Yan, hindi siya standard exceptions katulad ng blank answer exceptions or kaya invalid letter exceptions. Yan, para malaman namin kung ano yung mga bawal dun sa ilalagay ng mga user. Yan. So, si Joey Martinez po dito mag-explain ng flowchart, and ito po pala yung rubrics namin. Yan. Thank you po.
Hello, I'm Joey Martinez Jr. and today I will be discussing our problems flowchart. So first things first, kailangan natin maglagay ng start, then magde-declare na tayo ng mga necessary variables such as yung array for questions and yung mga multiple choices natin, which is A, B, C, D, and E. So each meron siyang 15 kasi meron tayong 15 questions. Then syempre kailangan din natin ng array for correct answers. So every question merong correct answer. Then yung string na valid letters. So 5 lang to since ang choices natin is A, B, C, D, and E. So if yung user nag-enter ng letter na hindi A, B, C, D, and E, show siya ng error. Then after that, kailangan din natin ng array na integer, which is retry. So dito natin ipapasok yung mga retries ng user for every question. After that, syempre kailangan natin mag-set ng questions sa array. So every index, so lalagyan natin ng questions yan. So Syempre, dun din sa choices, yung A, B, C, D, and E, lalagyan din natin ng mga values, and yung correct answers for every question. Then, syempre, yun nga, lalagyan natin ng proper values, yung valid letters, yung mga dapat i-input ng user, doon natin lalagay yung multiple choices natin. Then, ayun nga, lalagay natin yung user retries sa array na to. Yun. So, ito yung mga gagamitin nating mga variables for the loop, tsaka yung mga i-display for later. So, nandito yung integer natin na CRT. Ito yung counter ng correct answers ng user. Then, WRG for wrong answers naman. Then, mag-initialize din tayo ng lives. Ito yung lives ng user, equal siya sa 3. So, pag nag-hit siya ng 0, mag-end na yung loop, yung quiz, then magpiprint na yung score ni user, kasama yung name, tsaka yung mga retries. Yun. Then, meron na tayong x is equal to 0. So, kailangan natin to kasi ito yung variable na ipapang loop natin sa array. So, para mag-display yung mga index ng array natin, ito yung gagamitin natin, yung x. Then, nandito rin yung integer retry q, equal din siya sa 0. So, ito yung counter ng retries per question ni user. So, kunyari, nagkamali gusto ni user na nagkamali siya, then gusto niya i-retry yung question, dito yung papasok, then ilalagay niya dito sa array na to. Then meron na tayong holder ng name, string name, para makuha natin yung name ni user. Then yan nga, pag niran ni user yung program, maglalagay siya ng name niya. Then after that, doon na mag-i-start yung loop. So maglo-loop siya while x is less than 15. So y less than 15. So since meron tayong 15 questions, then yung array merong index na 0. So 15 questions, hanggang 14 lang yon sa index ng array. So tama lang sa natin, sa number of questions. So yun nga, maglo-loop siya. So value niya ngayon 0. So i-display niya yung question na naka-assign sa index 0 ng array natin sa question, kasama sa choices. So after that, mag-i-input ng sagot si user, then i-verify kung correct or wrong. So if tama yung sagot ni user, mag x++ yung counter natin, then yung counter ng correct answer +1 din. So since yung value ni x magiging 1 na, babalik ulit tayo sa loop, magiging 1 na siya. So less than pa rin ng 15. Tuloy yung loop, i-display niya yung 1, yung question na naka-assign sa index 1. Then yun ulit yung process. So if mali naman yung sagot ni user, syempre mababawasan yung lives. Then yung WRG, which is yung counter ng maladagdagan yung WRG since ito yung counter ng wrong answers ni user. Then initialize ko ulit si retry q dito para ma-reset yung variable niya. So kailangan siya i-reset kasi every question nagre-record tayo ng retry. So pag hindi natin siya ni-reset sa 0, mag-a-add siya. So yung retry sa previous question papasok pa rin sa next question. So kailangan natin siyang i-reset sa 0. Then after that, proceed na i-verify kung yung lives ni user greater than 0 pa din. So if nag-hit ng 0 yung lives ni user, so mag-end yung loop. and magdi-display na yung yung user's name, yung correct answer, yung wrong answer, remaining lives, then yung mga retry niya per question. So if ano pa naman, may natitira pa siyang lives, magpo-prompt yung may lalabas na would you like to try again. So pwedeng mag-try again yung user or mag-proceed sa next question. So kung gusto ni user na mag-try again, ulitin niya yung question, then mag-initialize ulit ng x, yung value ni x, which is x plus 1. So bakit nga ba x plus 1? Naging ganito yung value ni x para yung para hindi maging less than 0. Kasi pag nag less than 0 siya, maglalabas ng error yung program, since wala namang negative 1 na index sa array. So kunyari index 0 yung first question pa lang tayo, 0 index 0. So ang magiging value ni x 0 plus 1. So 0 plus 1, 1 pa rin. Then magma-minus 1, 0. Then yun pa rin, magpo-proceed ulit siya sa loop, then ipapakita niya ulit yung 0, yung same question. Yun ang nun. Tapos dito naman sa retry queue, eto nga sinasabi ko sa iyo kanina sa inyo, plus 1 na siya, then ang value ng retry na index, 0 sa first question, index 0, so 0 din ang value nito, tapos plus retry, so 1 siya. So bakit nga ba kailangan ng ganito? Kailangan ng ganito kasi kunyari gusto i-retry ni user yung question na naman, kunyari nag-retry na siya kanina, then namali ulit siya, then mag-retry ulit siya. So dahil nag-reset tayo ng 0 dito, magiging 0, so mawawala yung retry niya kanina na 1. So since nabigay na kanina yung value ni retry queue dito sa array na na to, may 1 na siya. So magpa-plus siya dito ng 1 plus 1 ulit, so 2. May 2 retries na siya sa question na yon. So yun, tapos mag-loop ulit, yun lang. Then if ayaw naman ni user na mag-try sa same question, pwede naman siya mag-proceed sa next question na ang mangyayari ay x plus plus. So plus 1 lang si x, then babalik ulit dito, magiging 1 na. So lalabas yung question na nasa index 1 yun, tas same process lang ulit, ganon. So if yung life ni user, yung lives nag-0 or natapos nyo na yung program, nag-end na yung loop, so kunyari kaabot na siya sa question 14, sa index 14, question 15, kapag natapos na yung loop, so nandito na siya, paproceed na siya sa A. So i-display niya yung user's name, then yung correct answer, then yung wrong answer. Yan yung kinount natin kanina, CRTWRG. Then i-display din niya yung remaining lives ni user, then yung array na retry. So per question may lalabas na na retry. So kunyari question 1 meron siyang 2 retries and so on. Then after that magpo-prompt kung gusto ba ni user i-repeat yung quiz. So if yes, punta tayo dito, uulit lang din. So, i-reset nyo yung value sa sa original, magiging 0 ulit yan. Then magi-input ulit ng username, then loop ulit, so on. So, if ayaw naman user mag-repeat na, no, then end na, mag-end na yung program. Yun lang.
Good evening po. Ayan. So, ito po yung pseudocode namin. Ayan. To start with, we initialize int CRT is equal to 0. Yung CRT, ito yung score namin. Yung int WRG is equal to 0. Ito po yung wrong answers. Yung int lives, ito yung starting point ng lives namin, which is equals to 3. So, by the time na magkamali yung user sa kanyang sagot, magdi-decrement tong lives. Ayan. Pwede ito mag-show ng 3, 2, or 1. So, itong int x is equal to 0, ito yung maglo-loop sa mga questions. So, kapag x++, next question. Pag x minus, ulit yung question or balik sa kung anong gustong question. So, itong initialize int let try q. So, ito yung kung how many retries yung gagawin ng user sa isang question, no? So, ang max sa retry siguro is equal to 3 kasi yun yung lives natin, no? So, initialize string name and choice. So, ito namang name and choice. Ito yung user input. Yung i-input ng user yung name niya. O yung i-input ng user yung itong choice, for example, yung yes or no sa mga questions. So, ito namang initialize boolean is repeat is equals to false. Itong is repeat ay gamitin natin kung yung user ay mag-wish na repeat yung buong quiz or program. No? So, kapag naging true to, mag-end na agad, hindi niya na i-repeat. No? So, makikita natin yung mamaya yan. So, ito naman, we declare string array of q to 15. Itong q represents questions. Itong declare string a, ito yung a, choices. So meron tayong 15 na questions. So, meron din tayong 15 na a na choices. So, meron din tayong b, c, and d, as so on and so forth. Yan. So, yung answers natin, ayan, na initialize natin yung string array of answers. So, meron tayong answer. So, kung meron tayong 15 choices each dito, meron din mo tayong answer key, which composed of letters na sagot sa mga questions, which is 15 din. Then, yung valid letters is equals to 5. Why 5? Kasi A, B, C, and D, and E lang ang pagpipilian natin. So, yung retry, yan, ilalagay yung mga kung how many retries yung ginawa nung user each question. So, 15 yan. Yan. Ito yung max, pero ayan, tama. Yan. So, dito naman set questions as said earlier to array q, set choices to array a, b, c, and d, and then set correct answers to array ans, and set valid user inputs to valid letters, and set user retries to array retry. So, ito yung sinasabi ko kanina, no? Yung while is repeat is equals to false, no? So, matatalakayan natin mamaya. So, punta muna tayo dito. So, to start the program, if you click na, to run it, ang una munang lalabas yung, hihingin yung, full name ng user. So, pagkahingi ng full name, then while x is less than 15, ipiprint niya yung lives nung, show muna. Ano ba yung lives natin? Equal to 3, di ba? Ayan, so, muna yung 3. So, print A, yung choices natin, mga choices, and then yung tanong. Ayan. So, may nakalimutan na tayo dito. Print Q, print x plus 1, and then Q X. Yan. So, nakalimutan natin nilagay, no? So, pag-enter ng full name, ito yung lalabas, no? So, bakit ba naglagay tayo dito ng X sa 1? So, kung bakit tayo yung rason dyan, kung bakit nalagay tayo ng 1 dito sa X plus 1 is kapag nag-run natin itong program, ang lalabas na numbering dyan ay susundin yung index imbis na yung normal numbering. Yan, kunwari, lalabas dyan, 0. What is the, yan. Ang gusto nating ilabas niyan yung number 1. Sundin yung, yung normal, hindi yung index numbering. So, dito, print A. So, ilalabas niya yung mga choices nung dun sa A, sa index 0. Yan, ilalabas din niya, so on and so forth. And then, dun sa pinakadulo ng first question, ilalabas niya yung enter your answer. Yan. So, ayan, mag-enter yung user ng answer. So, parang mag-enter, syempre mag-initialize tayo ng string answer as exceed.next line. No? So, nga pala itong exceed.next line, ito yung initialize natin kanina as our main scanner. And so, ito naman, kunwari, if the user enters letter A. Ayan, A. So, if user equals ignores case, ignore case, itong equals ignore case, kahit big letter or lower case or upper case, okay lang yan. So, ano ba yung valid letters natin? So, yung, dahil lang to, pseudocode, simpler version, hindi na natin pinakita yung, yung valid letters. Yung valid letters natin, yung equals yan sa A, B, and C, D. So, for, 5 index, starting from 0 up to 4. Yun. So, valid letters 0 is equals to A or so if either one sa kanila, mari A nilagay mo, okay naman yun. So magpo-proceed na siya dito sa iraran niya. Dito sa if answer is equals to ignore case equals to correct answer. So ito naman, kapag yung correct yung answer natin base dun sa answer key na nakalagay dito sa ating dineclare dito sa ating ans. So, magpuproceed siya dito. So, CRT. Ano yung CRT? Score yan. So, plus, dadagdagan yung score natin. So, X++, ito yung loop, which is another question tayo. So, dito naman tayo sa else. Ayan. Sa else, so pag hindi natin na-satisfy yung condition dito, lives minus. Ibig sabihin, mababawasan yung lives natin. For example, starting point ng lives natin is equals to 3. Kaya making 2 na lang. Dito naman tayo sa WRG, raw answer. Wrong answer, madadagdagan yung wrong answer natin, no? Which is plus. Yan. So, if lives is less than 1, yan, ano yung mangyayari? Yan, sabi dito, print game over, break. And then, pagka-break niyan, mag-proceed siya dito. Sa print lives, total score, yung correct and wrong answers, and print the try of each question. Yan, pag nag-break siya. So, ito mo tayo sa else. So, initialize int deck is equals to 1. Yan, while deck is equals to 1, print wrong answer, try again. Initialize choice as para makapag-choose tayo kung ano yung gusto natin, kung retry ba natin yung question or not. So, pag not natin, pag choice natin ay to retry the question kapag mali tayo. So, ang mangyayari dyan, ito, ang magbabalik dun sa question, pag babalik tayo dun sa question na gusto nating retry. Yan. So, ito naman, magi-increase yung number of retries natin. Magiging 1 kasi na-retry ulit natin. Yan. So, ito, pinaliwanag ko to yung deck minus. Bakit kaya, decrement? Kailangan niyang decrement. So, ang pagkakapaliwanag dito, yung deck is equals to 1. So, kapag yung deck is equals to 1, while deck is equals to 1, uulitin nyo to. Yan. So, itong deck minus, magiging 0. Yan, magiging 0. Kaya ito, magpo-proceed na siya sa next question. Yan, 0. Magiging 0 na yung value na itong decrement, kaya hindi niya nauulitin to. Yan. May nakalimutan ulit tayo. Dito sa else. Dito naman sa else, pwede nating print invalid letter. Y or N only. Ayan. Ayan. Pansin nyo bakit walang dec minus minus yung Syempre, ang gusto natin pag hindi either Y or N yung i-enter natin, gusto natin umulit yung try again. So, gusto natin yung value pa rin ng dec dito is equals to 1. Ayan. So, dito equals to 0, dito equals to 1 yung value ng dec. Ayan. So, as loop goes by, as na-reach na yung pattern, kung successful naman or unsuccessful or natapos man ng user, yung ipiprint siya ng lives total score. For example, 15 yung natapos mo lahat. Ayan, ipiprint yung lives mo. Depende dun kung nagastos mong lives. Kunwari, 2 na lang natira mong lives. Total score, yung total score, kunwari 13 over 15, yung correct and wrong answers. Dun sa 13, meron kang 7 correct answers, meron kang 6 wrong answers. Dito sa print retry from each question, kunwari dun sa question number 1, naka 1 retry ka. Ayun, ipiprint niya yun. Kasama ng mga iba. Dun naman sa iba na hindi mo na retry, 0 retries yung nakasulat. Ayan. So, dito naman tayo dito sa pinakadulo, yung after i-print itong lives. So, dito tayo sa int dec2 is equals to 1. Parang same lang to dito, Dito, same lang. Ayan. While dec is equals to 2. So, same lang din doon. No need to further explain kung anong meron dito. So, kapag kapag dec minus 2, kailangan 0 yung para hindi umulit, di ba? Katulad ng explain natin kanina. So ito is repeat is equals to false. Ayan. Ayan. Total value ng repeat dito is equals to false. So ito, uulit siya dito sa while statement. Ayan. So dito naman sa else if repeat equals to true. Ayan, equals to true. So, ano ba yung while natin? Equals to false. So, kapag equals to true, hindi na siya ulit. Mag-end na yung, terminate na yung program natin. And else, pag mali, invalid letter or Y only. Ayan. So, yun. Yung program natin. So, di natin nilagyan ng dec2 minus minus kasi gusto natin dec2 is equals to 1 talaga to para umulit. Ayan. So, end na yung program natin kung ayaw nyo na ulitin.
Hello, I'm Joey C. Martinez Jr. and I'm back to discuss the first part of the code. So first is to import the necessary utility for our Java program to function. In this case, we use the scanner util so that we can scan user inputs. Then we declare the public class, which in my case I use Midterm version 2 as the Java file name. Any name is fine. Then we set this as the main class, so this will be the Java file to be executed if we want the program to run. Next is the scanner. So scanner which is SC. We declare the scanner so that we can further scan user inputs. Next is the integer CRT, which is equal to 0. We declare this integer CRT because it will be needed, because it will be used as the counter for correct answers of the user. It's the same with the integer wrg, which is also equal to 0. This one will be used to be a counter for the wrong answers of the user. And we also have the integer lives, which is equal to 3. The integer lives will serve as the lives of the user, which if it hits to 0, then the program will print game over, and it will proceed to displaying the score and so on. Next is the integer x, which is equal to 0. Integer x will be used as the array index counter, so that we can loop through the questions and the multiple choices from 0 to 14. And the next is integer retry q, which is also equal to 0. This integer retry q will be used as the counter for retries. So this will be the holder for retry for every question, and the value of this will be passed to the retry string array, so that we can record every retries for every question. And we also have the string for name and choice, so that we can scan the user's name and also the user's choice. And we also have the boolean is repeat is equal to false. So this boolean will be used for looping the whole quiz. So for example, we set this value to true. That way the quiz will not repeat. While if we want to loop the whole quiz again, then we will set it again to false, so that it retains its values and continues its loop. Then after that, we will we declare string req. String req is the array for the questions. It consists of 15 indices, because we will be having 15 questions. Each index contains one question. So you can see here from index 0 to index 14 contains a question. Since we have 15 questions, we also have 15 indices for every multiple choice. So we have choice A, choice B, choice C, choice D, and choice E. So each of them also have 15 indices. So we set the values of each index here. So you can see here, these are the choices for the first question, second question, so on and so forth, until the last question, which is question number 15. Then we proceed to the string array answer ans. This array contains the correct answers for every question. Since we have 15 questions, we will also have 15 correct answers. Let's see here. So these are the indices of the array ans. So as you can see here, for index 0, the correct answer is C. And for which index 0, question 1, the answer is C. And this one, index 1, question 2, the answer is A, and so on and so forth. And after that, we declare the string array of valid letters, which consists of 5 indices because we only have 5 multiple choices. So the valid letters that the user should input are the multiple choices, which are A, B, C, D, and E. So if the user enters something that isn't A, B, C, D, or E, then it will proceed to print an error and retry the whole question. Okay, so that's it for part 1. Thank you for listening.
Good evening. My name is Gabriel B. Sanchez, and today I'm gonna continue the code or the lower half of the code. So here, while is repeat, so the value of our is repeat is equals to false, and while is repeat is false, then the program will print this, which is this is the this is used to repeat the program or the quiz if the user wishes to at the end of every quiz. So at the start, the system will ask to print the welcome to quiz b 2021 and then print this, and then the system will ask you to enter your full name for the record, initialized by next line. So here we declare again x is equal to 0 to reset the question counter whenever the user tries the quiz, and then here lives is equal to 3 to reset the life of the user whenever the user tries the quiz. And we initialize this, if you see that we initialize this because we want that every time the user wants to retry the quiz, we want to reset the loop as well as the lives and the scores. Because if we didn't write this, for example, the user stops at number 3. If the user wants to retry the quiz, it will continue to number 4, which we don't want the program to do. And so CRT for score, WRG for wrong answers. So while x is equals to 15, so at the start, x will be equals to 0. So 0 will be less than 15 and will execute until x is not less than 15. The program will end. Either if the circumstances, like if lives is less than 1, it will break. So here in this one, while x is equals to 15, for example, x is 0 is less than 15, then print lives, which is 3, and then x plus 1. We printed this because we don't want to follow the index numbering, which starts from 0. We want to start from number 1 from these questions. So this will print the A choices from index 0 to index 15. Same goes by the next letters. So the system will ask to enter your answer, represented by answer is equals to SC.next line. And then here we go. Let's proceed to the if answer that equals. So if answer that equals, ignore case valid letters, is equal to valid letters index 0 to 1 to 4. If the user's answer is equal to this, then this if statement will execute this one. So another if statement. So if answer that equals, ignore case, is equal to ans, which is this one, and the index of x So we're at the start of the program, so we're safe to say that it is at index 0. So for example, if the user uh, enters letter C at the first question, and then the program checks if whether the answer is equal to C, and it's equal to C, and that's correct. So the program will increment the score and then increment to the next question by using x plus plus. So what if the condition is not satisfied? So the program will throw the else statement. This else statement will decrement the lives, which has a starting point of 3. It can be either 2 or 1 if the user didn't answer the question correctly, and then increment the wrong answers of the user. So what if lives is less than 1? So if lives is less than 1, we have an if statement here. So it will print out game over, and if the user lives becomes 0, the program will break out of the loop. So after breaking out of the loop, it will proceed here, immediately proceed here to print out the name, the total score, the answer correctly and the wrong answers, and the only questions are answered out of 15. For example, only 3 questions are answered out of 15. And then let's proceed here. If this if statement is not satisfied, then we throw an else statement, wherein we declare int dec is equals to 1 and retry q is equals to 0. So while this dec1 is equals to 0, the code under the while statement will be executed. So for instance, while dec is equals to 1, the system will print out wrong answer, try again. So for example, the user has more than 1 lives, and the user enters the wrong question, wrong answer to that question. So this will print out the wrong answer, yes or no. So if choice is that equals to ignore case, why? So bakit ignore case, or why ignore case? Because we want the user to enter any cases like uppercase or lowercase according to the ones he likes the most. So this one, we want to make sure that the value of x will be not less than 0. So we want to show the normal numbering in our program instead of the index numbering, so we put this statement. So x minus minus, it decreases the value of x so that it repeats the same question, because the user wants to repeat the question, so we put this one. So retry q plus plus, so it adds 1 to the value of retry counter. So if you retry that question, then it will add 1 to that retry queue. So the retry queue will be based on how many retries the user does to that question. So this one basically sets the number of retries for every question. So it will loop the every question and then inputs the retries on every question that the user does. So this dec minus minus. So as explained earlier, for this program to be able to execute, we need the dec1 is equals to 1. So we didn't want this statement to repeat if the user chooses yes. So we initialize dec minus the dec decrement or dec minus minus. So dec will be equals to 0 and will not repeat this, and will proceed to the next question. Same case as this else if. So if else if, the program will proceed to the next question, and then the value of this will become 0, and will not repeat this question. I like this else statement wherein we didn't put dec minus minus because we want to repeat this statement. We want to repeat this statement because we didn't want the user to enter any invalid character. So we put a system out that println invalid input y or n only. Yeah. So we proceed here in the else if answer is empty. So this else if questions throws exceptions where the messages will be found here. So we'll explain later what this else statement and what this exception does. So first, else if answer is empty, or the user presses only the spacebar and presses enter, it will throw the throw new blank exception. So what does throw new blank exception does? So if the user enters a blank answer, so the program will catch it and then print the message. The message is a blank, you have no answer, and then x plus 1, and then x minus minus. It will repeat the question, and same as the other else if here. And so like this catch exception, it will print out its message. Numbers exception are not allowed. Number and special characters are not allowed. Same as here in the invalid letter exception. So while we finish at the end of the program, after we answered the quiz, this thing will show up, whether regardless of if the user manages to answer all the questions, or he or she only answers 3 or 4 or 5 or 6 or less than 14 answers. This will show up because of sometimes of lives limitations that they can't finish the whole questions. So this will show up after an unsuccessful or a successful attempt. So it will show the name, the user, and then it will show the total score of the user over 15. And then you answered correctly times and you answered wrong times. So it will show the correct answers and the wrong answers of the user. And then if x is not equal to 14, which is if the user didn't manage to answer all the questions, so it will show here, for example, only 14 questions are answered at 15. So of else, the else statement, if the user manages to answer all of the questions, so it will print out, congrats, you answered all of the questions. So in this one, system out println lives, remaining lives. So these lives will print out the lives of the user. If any lives is subtracted, or if the user retains all the lives, so it will be printed out here. It can be either 3, 2, or 1 lives according to the situation of the quiz of the user. So in here, we will print the retries in every question. For example, you retry question number 1 2 times. So it will print out question retries is equals to 2. Same goes here to the next retries in each 15 questions. So we'll proceed here in this while statement. So as explained earlier, this thing is the same as this statement. So we need to initialize dec2 is equals to 1 to avoid the invalid input by the user. So we put dec2 is equals to 0. Dec2 is equals to 0 because we decremented, because we didn't want to repeat this question. We want it to end. We want it to repeat. In this if case, if we choose yes, we want to repeat the program. In this else if statement, if we choose no, it will terminate the program because of this is repeat is equals to true. So remember that our is repeat is equals to false. So while our is repeat is equals to false, it will repeat the program or the whole quiz. So we put it is repeat is equals to true to terminate the whole program. So here, as we promised earlier, that we will explain the these exceptions. So you don't normally see these exceptions because it is it's up to the user what exception will be, what variable of exception will be named. So these are called custom exceptions, in which the user created their do-it-yourself exceptions to not allow the user to enter a specific invalid characters that is not part of the standard exceptions. So here we initialize invalid letter exceptions. We created a custom exception, invalid letter exception, which um, prints invalid answer if the user enters a characters. As explained earlier, would put this one if the user enters a blank answer. And it is written here in the catch statements. So the program will first try these statements. So if any of these choices will have an invalid characters inputted by the user, then these catch statements will do their things and catch the errors. So basically that's it. Thank you.
Hello, I'm Josie Martinez Jr. and I will be discussing the output of our Java code. So the first thing to do is to run the Java file. Then it will proceed to the user's name. It will want to scan the user's name, so I will input my name. And after scanning, it will proceed to the while loop while x is less than 15. So since the value of x is currently 0, it will be displaying the index 0 of array q, and also the same with the multiple choices of A, B, C, D, and E. Since the question for the index 0 of array q is question number 1, it will print it shows the question number 1, and also the same with the multiple choices. So after that, we must enter our answer. Let's try entering the correct answer. There, it proceeded to the next question. So this is the condition if the answer of the user is within the string of valid letters. So it must only be letters A, B, C, D, and E contained within the valid letters array. Since I answered C, which is part of valid letters, it proceeded to the next condition. This condition compares the input of the user to the correct answer. Let's check. Since I answered C, the answer for the question number 1, index 0, is C. So it proceeded to the next question. It added 1 to the value of x, and it also added 1 to the value of CRT, which is the counter for the correct answer of the user. So what if we entered the wrong answer? Let's try. entering the wrong answer, we will proceed to the else statement, this one. Then it will decrease our lives by 1. So if our lives hit 0, the program will print game over, and it will break out of the loop, and it will proceed here and print our name, total score, and the retries. Since we have lives greater than 1, we can proceed to the next statement, else statement here. The program prompts us if we want to try again. So if the user answers y, it will initialize the value of x into x plus 1. So the value this initialization of the value of x makes sure that the value of x will not be less than 0, because if x will be less than 0, the program will throw an error and it will end, because there is no -1 in the index of arrays. So since we are at index 1, so the value of x is 1, so 1 plus 1 is 2, and we will decrease x by 1, so the value of x will be 1. Then after that, we will add 1 to the value of retry q. This is the holder of the retries. Then it will transfer its value to the retry string array. Since we are currently at index 1, then it will add 1 to the retry of index 1, which is question number 2. Then after that, we will decrease the value of deck so that it will become 0, and we will break out of the loop. It will return and print the same question. So the next statement is if the user enters n or no. So what happens is that it adds 1 to the value of x, so that it proceeds to the next question, which is index 2, which contains question number 3, and it will also decrease the value of deck by 1, so that it will break out of the loop. And the last else statement is that if the user enters an input that is not y or n, then it will print this line. So let's try entering O. Then it printed invalid input, y or n only. So the function of this loop, this while deck is equal to 1, is to make sure that the user inputs the correct letter. The user should only enter y or n only, otherwise it will print this line, invalid input. Okay, so let's try again. So it showed the same question number 2. So we are still at index 1. So let's try answering it, the correct answer. Then we proceed to question number 3, index 2. So what if the what if the answer of the user is empty or just blank. Let's try it. Then it will print this line: blank, you have no answer, and it will repeat the question. So the condition for that is that if the user enters if the answer of the user is empty or is just blank, it will throw a new blank ends exception, which is created in here. The blank ends exception contains the line blank, you have no answer. So if we throw it in here, it will print this line blank. So the next condition is if the user inputs a number or a special character. So let's try inputting a number. So inputting a number prints out this line: numbers and special characters are not allowed. So it prints that line because we throw a new exception which has this line: numbers and special characters are not allowed. And we also have a condition if the user inputs an invalid letter which are not included in the choices. Let's try it. Oh wait, let's try inputting a special character first. So as you can see, it prints out the same line: numbers and special characters are not allowed. So let's try inputting an invalid letter. Let's try P. So it will print out this line: invalid letter, enter A, B, C, D, and E only. So invalid letter is created in here, and it contains the line invalid answer, enter A, B, C, D, and E only. So here are the catch statements. So as you can see, we have the invalid letter exception, blank ans exception, and the exception X. So all of them has the same conditions, which is to get the message, so that it prints out the message contained within the exception, and it also makes sure that the same question is presented if the user either throws a blank or inputs a blank, inputs a number or special character, or an invalid letter. So it will repeat the same question over and over again until the user inputs a valid choice or answer. So let's try finishing the quiz. So debugging, what's this? Hard copy, personal computer, central processing unit, basic input, B, volatile, read only, B, A, D, and yeah. So after finishing the quiz, if we finish the loop, so you can see here, so we managed to complete the whole questions. All of the questions were presented. So we completed the condition here, which is x is less than 15. So the program proceeds to printing the name, total score, and the correct answers. So let's see. So it printed my name, Joey, and my total score 15. You answered correctly 15 times, and I answered wrong one time. Let's check if that is correct. So as you can see here, my answer is correct, and I answered wrong on question number 2, and I tried it again, and I answered correctly. And it is correct, since we were able to answer all of the questions. Then we got it wrong one time, and we lost a life, since we got it wrong once. So after that, it will proceed to this loop, which is repeat quiz y or n again. So this prompts the user whether the user wants to repeat the quiz or not. So it has the same loop with the previous try again question, this one. So this loop makes sure that the user inputs a valid choice, which is y or n only. So if we enter something like K, then it will print invalid choice, y or n only. So if we want to repeat the quiz again, this is the condition. So if the user enters y, then the value of deck 2 will decrease, and it will become to 0, and it will break out the loop. And the value of the boolean, the first loop, this one, the value of the boolean is still the same, and it's not broken, so the whole quiz will repeat again, and the values of x, the value of lives, the value of the retry, CRT, and wrong will reset back. And if the user does not want to repeat the quiz and wants to end the program will decrease the value of deck 2, so that it breaks out of the loop, and it also changes the value of isRepeat to true. That way it will complete the requirement of the loop. The loop wants the value of isRepeat to not be false, meaning it wants the value to be true. So with this initialization, we are breaking the loop and ending the program. So let's try repeating the quiz. So it returns back to getting the user's name. So I will enter my name, then it will loop back again to the question. So as you can see, the value of lives are reset, and we can enter it again. So this time let's try losing our lives. So I do not want to repeat. Right, what happened? Wrong answer, try again, and okay. So after that, as you can see, let's check the score. So since I didn't have any correct answer, printed out 0, and I answered correctly 0 times, and answered wrong 3 times. and only 3 questions are answered. Let's see. Yes, 1, 2, and 3 out of the 15 questions, and lives remaining is also 0, and I hit the game over, which is this one. Since my life became 0, then the program printed game over, and it broke out of the loop and immediately proceeded here. Here's my output. So number of retries, all 0 since I didn't retried. Yes, I press N, and yeah. So do we want to repeat the quiz? Let's try N. Then the program exits and build successful. So that's all. Thank you for listening. Thank you.